All right. So today is Touhyville Day. So 20 years ago today, I created Touhyville. Now, that does not mean 20 years ago today I started doing radio. So,
No.
no, I started doing radio in 1994. So, uh, a little synopsis leading up to this. I had done radio for a long time, on and off with a friend of mine named Mike. Him and I had done a radio show together in Joliet and Kankakee. And so we had split. I went off and did some things on my own, and then did stand up, and ended up in Ottawa, Illinois. And they had originally hired me to do mornings on their. They had an FM station and an AM station, like a lot of companies do. They had originally hired me to, or met with me and interviewed me to do mornings on their FM station. Unfortunately, at the time, their FM station was literally in a closet. It was, they had converted a closet into a studio. It was smaller than my bedroom walk-in closet. It was really small.
Wow.
And it had a little board in there with a little computer and a cart machine. And everything that was played on it, the commercials were played on a computer, but all the music and DJs and everything came in through satellite. So they had never had a live person on there, including their morning show. It was a syndicated morning show. So at the time, they weren't set up or ready for it. So they had one of their production guys happen to leave about 2 weeks after my interview. Timing just worked out. So they called me and said, "Hey, we don't have everything set up for the morning show yet, but we'd like to bring you in for production. And how about on our AM station, you do an afternoon talk show?" I said, "Great." So I came in, started doing that. Did that for almost a year. And then the plan was put together for the new morning show. They're going to, and I had reached out to my old partner, and we were going to put Tamano and Tui back together.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, it was supposed to launch on Valentine's Day.
You're kidding.
Nope. It was supposed to launch on Valentine's Day. And we thought, how funny, we were going to do a whole thing about reunited and, Peaches and Herb and, because Mike and I had been separated for years. So we were going to, bring it back together.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out he essentially used the offer to up his money where he was at and stay where he was. Okay. So that's when I said, okay, then let's go out and find me a partner.
Did that shake you up at the time? Because you've done all this prep.
Slightly, yes. But I'm not going to dive into that whole relationship. It didn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
So what that did was make me go, okay, let's flip it. So instead of it being, because I was kind of the number two in that partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we're going to flip it. I've been number one on my own show long enough.
Right.
Let's bring in a number two for me.
Right.
So
now you're the alpha and somebody else is your sidekick.
Yeah, mm-hmm. we'll work it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they had an idea of a guy that used to work at the radio station named Andy Decker, and he had like some improv stuff and had worked at the radio station and stuff. So, but him and I had never worked together, and we really wanted to launch this as a big deal. So him and I got together on a Saturday morning and did a fake 1 hour show. Now it'd be like a podcast. We just got in the studio and just did a show together. Just for an hour, I grabbed some prep and some stories, and
just to see your chemistry.
We just wanted to see how it went,
mm-hmm.
and it went well. So when I was doing my afternoon talk show, it was just called Steve Touhy in the Afternoon,
mm-hmm.
and the news guy, who oddly enough, kind of similar to Russ Martin, his name was Jim French. He had been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had been in the area since being a DJ for Sock Hops, and
wow.
So he was So the news was on for about 15-20 minutes before I come on the air every day in the afternoon. So then he would end his news and say, "Hey, Steve," he was live. So he was in another studio and he'd go, "Hey, Steve, what's going on today in Touhyville?" So he's the one who came up with the word Touhyville.
Wow.
So I didn't even call the show Touhyville. He just called it that.
Is
you
he
know?
still is he still alive?
I don't know.
Wow.
Sadly,
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know this story.
No.
I did not.
All right. So
Because it just Touhyville just makes sense to me. So much sense. I never thought it wasn't you who just thought it up.
Yeah, no, it was just one of those things. Yeah.
What's going on in Touhyville?
So when this happened, I said, okay, we're going to call the show Touhyville with Steve Touhy and Andy Decker. And there was the only little inkling of stuff. And I get it. I was a number 2 before 2, where Andy said, do we have to call it Touhyville? And I said, yes, we do. And you know me, that's not very much like me, but to not talk it through. And nope. I was second banana for so long. So nope, it's there.
Yeah.
So now we need a studio because we're not both going to fit in this closet.
Big enough for one,
right.
Let alone 2. Yeah.
So we take the production studio, and on a Saturday morning, me, my operations manager, program director, boss Jay, and the general manager Mark all come in, and we repaint the studio because it is an old paneling, like hasn't been touched in 30, 40 years.
Wow.
So we come in and we painted it all white, but just to brighten it up.
Right.
And then put our banners up. The banners were carnival themed. The salespeople didn't know what to make of what I was. So I put on, back then I knew a little bit about video editing, and it wasn't as easy as it is now.
Yeah.
And I put together a whole thing mixed in with stuff I had done from before, stuff from my afternoon show, and Willy Wonka. Put together a video presentation.
And
I did a presentation about what it was, and we rolled out a sales package for it and what it was going to be, and offering live reads for the first time and all this stuff. Because I knew my bread and butter was live reads. I knew how to do them, as you've heard here on the show.
Yeah.
So once we knew that it wasn't me and my old partner getting together, we needed more time because we were planning on the 14th. I mean, we had put together liners and stuff like this was happening, and then we had to change things. And so we did on a dime. So then we gave ourselves an extra couple of weeks to breathe and figure it all out. And that was February 28th. Wow. So then with the whole carnival theme, what I did was I went and bought, I think it was Costco or Sam's Club or one of those. Maybe I even ordered them online now. I don't remember. But I got hundreds of little packages of animal crackers.
Oh,
tons,
right.
like the
old circus, the box.
Yes, the circus boxes that you saw my cassettes in for years around in the attic and everything. That's where all those boxes came from.
Okay.
Was I ordered boxes and boxes of little individual bags of animal crackers, and then went and got flyers printed up 4 to a sheet. Touhyville with Steve Touhy and Andy Decker with our logo, and starting today mornings. I think we were 5 to 10 at that time, or 5:30 to 10. We were on early, and I sat for the week before and stapled them with a hand top and bottom.
Now you jumped because you didn't tell them about, or you didn't talk about a carnival for your mind, like you did. So that's where the carnival part comes in with Touhyville.
So the first idea for Touhyville was theater of the mind is where radio. Like they always said, radio's theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Old days radio. That's what they call it, theater of the mind. So I said, Touhyville is the amusement park for your mind. It's the cotton candy. It's the fun. It's the roller coaster rides. It's all about the fun. There is no theater. It's all about the fun. It's the silly.
Yeah.
So it was just Touhyville, the amusement park for your mind. As the show progressed, we came up with Andy and I don't know which one did, but holiday for your head, carnival for your cranium, amusement park for your mind. It was all tied in.
Yep.
So that grew as the show went on. So, but the carnival theme was what I wanted, was the idea of it's all fun in Touhyville.
Yeah.
It's always just fun. So we
then Cheryl came over. No.
So, yeah. So then, so I took these little things and stapled them to hundreds of bags of
Yep.
animal crackers.
Mhm.
And we set it up with about 12 local area gas stations all over the listening area, and all the salespeople, multiple employees from the radio station, and my dad all stood out at gas stations that morning handing out free animal crackers to people at gas stations going in for their coffee. Hey, tune in to Touhyville. Hey, when you get back in the car, put on 95.3,
Mhm.
So that was our launch. That's how we launched the show. Now, the only thing that I disagreed with the station on was they had a syndicated morning show on this satellite. And I wanted them to take it off a week before we started and just play music with liners saying, the amusement park is coming. The amusement park is coming, And we played liners like that, but they left the other morning show on.
Got
So
it.
that means in radio, you get used to someone being there.
Right.
They didn't know who we were.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Friday, the syndicated radio show, Jonathan and Mary was there.
Yeah.
Monday, Andy and I were there.
Yeah.
So we got all kinds of calls during the show. Is this for real? Like, who are you guys? Like, what's going on?
Yikes.
Like, so we had a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
We said, I don't know. Jonathan and Mary just didn't show up this morning. So they said, go in there and do this. We joked around like that. We said, we just came in the studio and locked the door. They're
right.
They're trying to get
hijacked,
in. Right. We had all kinds of fun with it. Then after a little while, we started to say, listen, if you like Jonathan and Mary, give us a week. And if you don't like the show, one of us will come clean your house. So, and from there, the show just grew.
Yeah.
Because it was all about fun. It was just Andy and I having a lot of fun.
Well, you did stuff. You told me about stuff in the McDonald's drive-through when you did a takeover and everybody coming through for T-shirts that were a collab between the two of you, that the McDonald's guy loved you.
Well, so when we started, they, for a week before the show started, put those flyers as well in every McDonald's bag.
Wow.
And every bag that went through the drive-through they put it in there to help us promote it.
Wow.
They had us on the marquee, starting, today, and they left it up for a week. Steve Touhy on 95.3 The River in the morning, 5 to 9, I think it said, 5 to 10, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So the McDonald's, local McDonald's, and that relationship is what helped blossom this relationship with the Kasanovich Umfleet McDonald's.
Yeah.
When I first met with Brett, I said, hey, when I was in Ottawa, we did all kinds of stuff with McDonald's. There was a family. The guy's name was Guy Bucefaro. And he goes, I know Guy. I'm going to see him next week. So it just clicked. And So.
Yeah, I love the collabs. And I miss the days where collabs, I think they were more creative back then, before the digital age. Like, we can still do great collabs.
Yeah.
But I think people automatically turn to social media or something like that and don't realize the power of morning radio.
Well, and we didn't,
in small markets.
And internet was still quasi new.
Yeah.
The radio station didn't have a website.
Yeah.
Touhyville did. Touhyville had a website. We promoted Touhyville so much that people would call the station and they would say, hello, the river. And they would go, oops, nope, I was trying to call Touhyville. We're like, yeah, that's we're here. Yeah. So, but yeah, we had Touhyville.com. I think I had both of them at that time too, like I do now, Touhyville.com and spelled out Touhyville.com.
Now, did the same thing happen when, because I think Bob Burt was here before you, right? So did the same thing happen with the switch happened and people were like, whoa, or
no? So okay, so that was different. So
or what?
So let's so now I'll take it all through a little.
Not that
bit.
I'm trying to.
No, because I mean, Touhyville. I mean, it's 20 years I could fill it. So anyway, so that was day one. That was how all that took off.
Yeah.
And then from there it went. We did 1 million remotes. I mean, 4th of July weekend. We did 7 remotes over 4th of July weekend.
Oh, gosh.
We were just everywhere. And we did one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And then we did one for fireworks. And the fireworks ones were the funniest in the world. And I remember a guy contacted me about a year ago. And he said, do you remember me? I was the guy that came by and said hello and brought you Burger King in Marseilles. So someone had booked the remote where we did an hour before the fireworks,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fireworks lasted 20 minutes, but then we still had 40 minutes left to broadcast. Well, all that happens after the fireworks is everyone leaves. So it was just Andy and I. We laughed because we were in a parking lot of a business, and even the lights went off at the parking lot for fireworks, and they never came back on. So we were just sitting in the dark in a parking lot.
Oh my gosh!
After doing like 3 remotes that day, it was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I remember the sales manager of another radio station out there talking to our salesman and said, you know, I know I shouldn't say this because I work, you know, for the competition, but we know each other. We're friends. I'm just going to tell you, we can't keep up with this guy. He's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to catch him. We know we're not going to win mornings. Mm-hmm. We're not going to catch him. So that just felt great, you know? So moving forward, you know, Andy and I did really well. Corporate things happened where Andy was let go eventually. And then I had to do things on my own, and things were not going well there because of big corporation. So then I ended up going to Kankakee,
mm-hmm.
and I kept Touhyville, talked with them about Touhyville, did an afternoon talk show by myself as Touhyville. 1 week in, I had a meeting with the program director, who's the boss of the programming, like on the air. And he said, we don't want you to call the show Touhyville anymore. I've been on the air for a week already. What are you talking about? We knew this when I came on. It's my brand. Right. But we talked about it. And what if you ever leave? So we want you to call it the afternoon show, the WKAN afternoon show with Steve Touhy. I said, you're aware that if I leave, you can't keep calling it the WKAN afternoon show with Steve Touhy, right? I won't. If I leave, it's still me that goes.
You know that I'm going to keep my name. Right. My parents gave it to me.
Right. And God love this guy. I mean, you know, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. He's a very nice man.
So now I know who it is.
Yeah. But he's also the one, his family owned a newspaper company. And at one time he met with me and another guy. And he said, when you guys talk about American Idol, which was the biggest thing in the world at that point, mm-hmm. Don't say you saw American Idol last night. Say you heard about it or read about it. And I went, why read about it if we're only, he goes,
like, well, you're promoting it?
He goes, well, you know, we don't want to remind people about television. It's 2006. I think they're onto it by now. And also, I could say I read about it because your family owns a newspaper, so that's okay. But I can't. So Touhyville died for a little while because I wasn't allowed to say it. Then I got back together as Tomato and Touhy again. Mm-hmm. So Touhyville was gone for a while. Mm-hmm. Then
that's when I knew you. That's when I came on board, sort of.
Yes. So mm-hmm. then I did afternoons on WLQI for about 2 weeks. I'm sure no one remembers that. And then I hit a deer on my way home.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So it was Touhyville on WLQI at one time for a very short time.
Car.
Yes.
Yeah. Oof.
So then I wanted to go a different route home and come home in the light of day.
Yeah.
So we also
lived in Bourbonnais.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we also talked about the idea that there was nobody live on 98 Gold at the time. It was an oldie station. So then I moved Touhyville over to afternoons on 98 Gold.
Okay.
Then that didn't work out. Switched Touhyville to online, which we did out of our house. Mm-hmm. Or I did out of my house. Mm-hmm. Did that for a while by myself. Mm-hmm. Then did that with Tony Carr, who had another online radio station all about Chicago comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And then was doing that. And Bob Burt, who was here for 33 years on WLQI, decided he was ready to stop and go back to where he was originally from, which was Michigan. Mm-hmm. Be closer to family, do that and leave. So he did, and didn't know what we were going to do here at first. So John and I talked about me. We hired someone else who came in for training, I think 2 days, and then never came back. He was a weird guy. Like there was, I don't even remember his name, but I just remember Chris Locken was training him, and he's like, okay, you know, time to go on the air. And he just didn't want to. He wasn't hesitant. He was hesitant. We're like, what? you've done radio before, right? It was a very weird situation. So then Chris Locken stayed in the morning for a little while, but that was temporary. And he told Johnny, he goes, I can't get up like this every day. This is not my thing.
Yeah.
And Chris will be the first to admit he's just not a morning show guy. Like he's an incredibly talented
he is
jock and production guy, but it's not his bag.
Rocking with Logan.
So just like I'm not a disc jockey. Everybody has to know their thing.
Yeah.
So then finally we decided that Touhyville was going to be on WLQI. And I would say my first year was kind of like, who is this guy? What in the world? And that's what it takes. Like you just got to keep going and let people get to know you and learn you. And so Chrissy was in the beginning because she had been doing 2 bits a day with Bob Burt. So then she kind of did the same with me. Then she left.
What do you mean by 2 bits a day?
2 segments.
Oh.
2 segments daily. She was allowed to come in and do.
Okay.
So because she had a whole nother job. So she would come in.
She would jump in and then jump out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then Missy replaced her in the outside in the office role. So she came in on the show, and that kind of expanded. And
then you won the award.
And no,
best morning show.
No, not with Missy.
Okay. So I thought you said Chrissy.
Chrissy was here first. Then she left. Then Missy came in. Then when Missy left, Chrissy came back.
Got it.
It was a whole lot of issue.
Got it. A lot of issue there.
So, and then that's when Chrissy was really in. Like her and I have talked about it. Like that first time, she really wasn't in. Her head wasn't here. She was kind of.
But she was bopping in and out, right? The first time.
Yeah, we weren't really doing a show together. Yeah. So then the second time was when we were really doing the full show together. On board, the whole deal. Yeah. And that's when we won the award. So and then she left. A little over a year ago, and then you came in, and you had been filling in for her before, and that's when you came in. And oddly enough, to come full circle, you and I teamed up on Valentine's Day, the way Touhyville was supposed to originally start.
That is kind of the coolest
thing.
I did not know that piece.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I actually had forgotten about it until I started reminiscing this morning. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So that's where we're at 20 years later. So,
wow.
So many things. And, I've taken up enough time already this morning, self-indulging, but I'll probably do a video a little bit later on, a little more detailed, some of the stuff that went on at the radio station. I mean, we used to do a segment called Sales Staff Theater. That was so much fun.
I still want to bring that back. I love that.
I mean, it was just, it was so much fun. We had so many remotes. We did a remote where we did karaoke at a bar one night where we hosted karaoke, which was so much fun. And I did my horrible version of Billie Jean, making fun of Michael Jackson, like a parody song I just made up on the spot.
I still remember where I met you when I was working on my first day of work at Quality Concepts. The owner comes up to me and goes, okay, now go over to, I'm settling in my new office. Go over and record the commercial for us at the radio station. What? Like, how is that? I'm a salesperson.
Sorry,
no,
what?
I sell signs.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
So he goes, yeah, you'll be great. I was a wreck.
Yeah.
And I met you. And I remember learning your dad was he was still in the hospital after having a heart transplant. And I remember praying for you and him.
Yeah.
Because the first time I met you, when you were telling me about it, you got all choked up. And I said, I really like him. Because you just were very nervous about your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. So look at where it's gone. So
So crazy.
Anyway, so that's the Reader's Digest version of 20 years of Touhyville. Today is 20 years since Touhyville hit the air on that fine day. And it's funny because I also remember one of the sales guys there who was a giant support of the show from day one was a guy named John Brake. And and his wife
Shar,
her birthday was in a leap year. So,
Oh, wow.
so
I always wondered about
we had to
people
make
like
sure that
that.
we wished her happy birthday because it wasn't a leap year when we started it. So they were celebrating that day. Like, so, so I always remember that was her birthday. So
Mhm.
anyway, so many great memories.